Most Christians read the Sermon on the Mount as ethics. Be merciful, be peacemakers, do not worry, love your enemies. Read in English, in a modern setting, with no historical context, it sounds like Christian moral teaching. Beautiful, demanding, but essentially ethics. That is not what the Sermon on the Mount is first. The Sermon on the Mount is a public messianic claim. Jesus is rewriting the Mosaic law on Mosaic authority. He is standing on a mountain. He is delivering teaching that begins with the words, "You have heard it said," and then 6 times he says, "But I say to you." 6 concrete examples: murder, adultery, oaths, retaliation, love of enemies, divorce. Each one a direct rewrite of a specific Old Testament command on Jesus' own authority, with no appeal to any prior teacher or prophet. That is not ethics. That is a man claiming the right to revise the Torah. Moses was the only figure in Jewish history who had ever stood on a mountain and given the law on God's authority. Jesus is positioning himself to do the same thing. The Sermon on the Mount is the moment Jesus makes that claim publicly. Before walking the 6 antitheses, the structural claim matters. A Jewish audience in the 1st century would have recognized the setup immediately. Mountain teaching was Mosaic teaching. The location was not incidental. Sinai was the mountain where Moses received the Torah. The Mount of Beatitudes is where Jesus delivers his teaching. The visual parallel was unmistakable. Matthew's Gospel makes the parallel deliberate. Matthew opens with a genealogy showing Jesus as the new Israel. The infancy narrative includes a flight to Egypt and a return, Jesus reliving Israel's exodus. The temptation in the wilderness is 40 days, paralleling Israel's 40 years. Then Jesus goes up on a mountain to deliver authoritative teaching. Matthew is building the parallel in plain sight. The sermon itself follows the form of Mosaic instruction. Moses came down with the Decalogue, 10 commandments organizing the moral and ceremonial life of Israel. Jesus delivers the Beatitudes, 8 blessings inverting the worldly value system. Moses gave the law. Jesus gives the deeper requirement. But the structural parallel is not the strongest evidence. The strongest evidence is the speech pattern Jesus uses 6 times. You have heard it said, but I say to you. This formula is the entire claim in 2 phrases. You have heard it said refers to the existing Mosaic law, what every devout Jew had been taught from childhood. But I say to you is the claim of an authority that supersedes that law, not interprets it, not applies it, supersedes it, replaces it with a deeper standard. No prophet in Jewish history had ever spoken like this. The prophets always grounded their authority in the Torah and the covenant. Jesus grounds his authority in himself. Now to the 6 antitheses. Each one a direct rewrite of a specific Old Testament command. Each one a claim of authority equal to Moses. First antithesis, murder, Matthew 5:21-22. You have heard it said, you shall not murder, and anyone who murders will be subject to judgment. That is a direct quotation from Exodus 20:13, the 6th commandment. But I say to you that anyone who is angry with his brother will be subject to judgment. Jesus is not loosening the command, he is intensifying it. The Mosaic law forbids the external act of murder. Jesus forbids the internal disposition that produces it. The standard moved from behavior to the heart. Only the author of the law has the authority to do that. Second antithesis, adultery, Matthew 5:27-28. You have heard it said, you shall not commit adultery. That is the seventh commandment, Exodus 20:14. But I say to you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Same pattern. The external act is intensified to its internal root. Adultery becomes lust. The law moves from action to disposition. Jesus is doing what only a lawgiver can do, defining the actual scope of the command. Third antithesis, divorce. Each one a direct rewrite of a specific Old Testament command. Each one a claim of authority equal to Moses. First antithesis, murder. Matthew 5:21-22. You have heard it said, "You shall not murder," and anyone who murders will be subject to judgment. That is a direct quotation from Exodus 20:13, the sixth commandment. But I say to you that anyone who is angry with his brother will be subject to judgment. Jesus is not loosening the command, he is intensifying it. The Mosaic law forbids the external act of murder. Jesus forbids the internal disposition that produces it. The standard moved from behavior to the heart. Only the author of the law has the authority to do that. Second antithesis, adultery. Matthew 5:27-28. You have heard it said, "You shall not commit adultery." That is the seventh commandment, Exodus 20:14. But I say to you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Same pattern. The external act is intensified to its internal root. Adultery becomes lust. The law moves from action to disposition. Jesus is doing what only a lawgiver can do, defining the actual scope of the command. Third antithesis, divorce. Matthew 5:31-32. You have heard it said, "Anyone who divorces his wife must give her a certificate of divorce." This is from Deuteronomy 24:1, a provision in the Mosaic legal code. But I say to you that anyone who divorces his wife except for sexual immorality makes her the victim of adultery. This one is more striking. Jesus is not merely intensifying the Mosaic command, he is actively restricting a provision that Moses had explicitly given. When the Pharisees later challenged Jesus on this, in Matthew 19, he answers them by saying, "Moses permitted divorce because of the hardness of your hearts, but it was not so from the beginning." Jesus is appealing to a creation standard that he claims supersedes Mosaic concession. That is the move of a lawgiver, not a teacher. Fourth antithesis, oaths. Matthew 5:33-37. You have heard it said, "Do not break your oath, but fulfill to the Lord the vows you have made." This combines Leviticus 19:12 and Numbers 32, Old Testament instruction on swearing oaths in God's name. But I say to you, do not swear at all. Let your yes be yes, and your no, no. Anything beyond this comes from the evil one. Again, Jesus is not just clarifying, he is forbidding what the Mosaic law permitted and regulated. The entire system of oath-taking, a major feature of ancient Near Eastern legal practice, is replaced by the requirement of plain, truthful speech. The law is rewritten. Fifth antithesis, retaliation. Matthew 5:38-42. You have heard it said, "Eye for eye and tooth for tooth." That is the lex talionis from Exodus 21:24, Leviticus 20:40, and Deuteronomy 19:21, a foundational principle of ancient justice. But I say to you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. This is the most radical revision so far. Lex talionis was the entire framework of biblical and ancient Near Eastern justice.
Jesus replaces it with non-resistance. A foundational legal principle of the Torah is set aside on Jesus' authority. What this claim means about who Jesus is, that is the question the Sermon on the Mount cannot avoid raising. The cumulative pattern across 5 antitheses is unmistakable. The Mosaic law had stood for 14 centuries. It was the constitution of the people of Israel. Jesus replaces it with non-resistance. A foundational legal principle of the Torah is set aside on Jesus' authority. What this claim means about who Jesus is, that is the question the Sermon on the Mount cannot avoid raising. The cumulative pattern across 5 antitheses is unmistakable. The Mosaic law had stood for 14 centuries. It was the constitution of the people of Israel. Every Jewish teacher of the first century, every rabbi, every Pharisee, every scribe, operated under the assumption that the law was final, and the teacher's job was to interpret it faithfully. Jesus is doing something none of them are doing. He is revising it on his own word. In Jewish thought, only 2 figures had ever exercised that kind of authority: Moses, who delivered the law from God at Sinai, and God himself, the law's author. Jesus is publicly placing himself in that company. The first audience would have recognized the claim immediately. By the end of the sermon, Matthew records the crowd's reaction in plain terms. The people were amazed at his teaching because he taught as one who had authority and not as their teachers of the law. The Greek word for authority is exousia. The teachers of the law operated within received tradition. Jesus operated outside it, on his own. 6th and final antithesis: love of enemies. Matthew 5, verses 43 to 48. You have heard it said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. The first half is Leviticus 19:18. The second half was an extrapolation in some Jewish teaching of the period, though never explicitly Mosaic. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. The command moves from neighbor love, which was the broadest love command in the Mosaic law, to enemy love, which is universal. The standard is now imitation of God himself, who sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. The ethic is not Torah obedience, but reflecting God's character. Be perfect, Jesus says, as your heavenly Father is perfect. 6 antitheses, 6 direct rewrites of specific Old Testament commands. No appeal to any prior teacher, no quotation from the prophets, no grounding in the rabbinic tradition. Jesus revises the law on his own authority alone. The Sermon on the Mount is not first ethics. It is the public moment Jesus claimed the right to do what only the author of the law could legitimately do. To his Jewish audience, hearing the "but I say to you" formula 6 times from the same teacher in a single sermon on a mountain in the Mosaic tradition was not a moral lesson, it was a messianic claim. The question the sermon raises is not first, how should I live? The question is, who is this man that he speaks like this? The early disciples could not avoid that question. Neither can a careful reader now. If you grew up reading the Sermon on the Mount as Christian moral teaching and now seen what the 6 antitheses are structurally doing, this channel is built for that kind of textual recovery. Here's the question for the comments. Which of the 6 antitheses surprised you most? Did you grow up hearing the sermon framed as ethics or as messianic claim? And to seeing the "you have heard it said, but I say to you" pattern 6 times change how you read the rest of Matthew? Coming next on Rightly Divided, if the Sermon on the Mount is a messianic claim, the next question raises itself. Did Jesus actually claim to be God? Skeptics often say he did not. The text shows he did, 5 distinct times, in language his audience understood instantly, which is why they tried to stone him. If you haven't seen the prior video on the Trinity, watch that next. V29 walks the 3 centuries the Church spent defining who Jesus was. V30 walks the moment Jesus first publicly claimed an authority that only God could legitimately hold. The 2 videos make sense as a pair. The doctrine of V29 has its earliest roots in the textual claim of V30.